Hey, everybody, welcome to today's Ask Me Anything webinar. I'm Justin, one of the co-founders here at SiteSwan, and I am super excited to do this with you because today, the last day of April, is a great day to be closing some website deals, making some connections. It's springtime. People are ready to do stuff in their business. I want to have a quick hello to everybody who's in this room today, including a lot of people who I've come to know very well. I see your names in here. I'm going to say hello to you guys individually, but I'd also like you to go to the questions tab. Anyone who's new, go to the questions tab and just write newbie. So I know you are brand new to this setup, and we'll talk a little bit about what to expect. The very first thing we're going to do is we are going to ask every single person who is here today, because this is a participant focused session today. I'm not just talking to you, we're interacting. Everyone is going to start off by giving me one win, something positive that's happened since either you signed up, like Allie and Lewis. You are brand new. Welcome. Give me one good thing that's happened since you signed up with SiteSwan. Could be as simple as I watched the training videos, I launched my marketing site, I set up my Stripe account, whatever. Everyone else who's been here before, I would like you to share with me one win since the last time that you were on one of these. I am going to read off the wins, first name only. I'm not going to say last names. I'm not going to identify you guys, but I do want to make sure that everyone here knows you are in the company of other people who are making things happen. All right. And I'm going to share with you one of my wins also. So Lewis says, I'm up and running. That's what I like to hear. You're brand new. You are rocking and rolling. Lewis, I'm glad you're here because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that I think can help you get up and running even faster. Linton says, I sold a waste management site last week. I also had a boat detailing and petroleum testing website demo presentation scheduled this week. Both are rescheduled because of medical emergencies on both ends, but those are going to happen. That's awesome. And yeah, I think you were the one, Linton, who put through the petroleum testing website theme, if I'm not mistaken, because that is an incredible looking site. Boat detailing site also spot on. So you got some really good prospects there. That's great. Kevin, what's up, Kevin? Kevin and I just had a conversation, and you can see one or two snippets from that conversation on social media already. The full interview is coming out very soon. You guys are going to fall in love with your fellow SiteSwan reseller, Kevin. He's awesome. And Kevin's working on a new church website as of today, which is great. Kevin, hope you had a nice time on vacation. And Kevin actually, in his chat with me, disclosed something I think all of you who are new are yet to um, realize. All of you who've been with us for a while have certainly by now realized. And Kevin goes to me, he's like, I'm, for the first time, going to be heading out of town, and I know I'm going to get paid while I'm away. And not because it's paid time off, not because I've earned vacation time of any kind, but because I sold something one time and I continue to get paid month after month. So he knows, like, look, I'm going time a month, I'm gonna be away, and fresh money is gonna be hitting my bank account. And that, my friends, is one of the main reasons why we're all doing this, right? Jack has got 3 new clients. Jack, that's incredible. You mind sharing what industries your clients are in and how you got them? Tom got a website design project from a contractor while giving me an estimate on some work at my house. So this is I remember this story. So in fact, I say this a lot. I'm like, I don't call anyone to do any work in my house unless they're a good website candidate. I just don't. Uh, it kind of goes against the grain in terms of, like, you're gonna usually we select businesses to work with based on their professionalism online, how they appear online. But I'm like, no, uh, I'm just gonna hire people who I can sell something to, and it actually works out pretty well. So I think Tom at one point mentioned, he's like, I am just going to start getting estimates for all sorts of random stuff throughout my house from businesses that don't have websites. So they'll basically come to me for a sales pitch. Like that's that's such a cool concept. It's like, yeah, come to my house. And then like, I just so happen to have this website ready to show you. Which is actually a cool concept. All right. Ali says, I got 2 leads. I lost one, but one is set up for Sunday to see if we can get close. Been operating for 1 week or so. Cool. Very nice. Mike, you all know Mike if you watch my interviews. Mike sold an exterior cleaner site in Pennsylvania, sold a second site to an existing client for his home building company, and has a scheduled demo with a kickboxing slash jujitsu school, which is a referral. That's awesome. The referral sites, guys, are so much easier to sell. Not that this is hard, but you get a referral and it's just like taking an order, basically. Eddie signed up for SiteSwan, created his website design quickly, has convinced his handyman to look at the website he created for him. Chatting on Friday. So next Friday? No, tomorrow. Holy cow. I'm so used to these things happening on Fridays, but doing a Thursday one today, and I'm like stuck in a Friday mode. That is great, Eddie. And I think you asked a question about that. We're going to get to that. All right. Joe. What's up, Joe? Joe says my website client has decided that I am their go-to tech guy and has been working on an email migration from Bluehost to Google Workspace. I'm also going to go to their office to do headshots. Whoa, Joe, that's awesome. You know, it's so funny the amount of trust that web design clients put into you, their website designer. I have been told all sorts of things: legal battles, employee troubles, um, at a pizzeria, the cost of mozzarella cheese. They disclose so much to their web designer. There's a certain level of trust you build with them that you'll stumble over opportunities to help businesses. If you want to make some money, just have conversations with them and they'll ask you to do more stuff and pay you for it. Jeffrey just launched his website, mortgage broker site. Very cool. Working on his second website now. The interview videos are so helpful and encouraging. I'm glad to hear that, Jeffrey. We're going to try to do more of them this year. Justin says, launched my first client website for a horse riding facility last week. Nice. And got a demo completed. That's amazing. Our horse riding facility, the horse riding theme that we have is stacked. Jack says, also partnering with another SiteSwan reseller who will be nameless, but he's amazing. Interesting. What's going on here? Let's see. Another Justin. How many Justins are on this thing today? Just signed on a client, a live auction house. They run live streams multiple times a week and wanted a site that would replace Facebook Live as it's too laggy. So we're able to embed their live Twitch stream into their site and build out a custom solution that they were very excited about. Austin, you know, that sounds complicated, but guys, it's like a copy and paste of Twitch code and just pop it into the site. You're good to go. Live streaming. Here we go. Jack Pope's got commercial real estate, pressure washing guy, family history site. Very, very cool. All right. So that's it. I'm going to share a win with you right now. So I have 2 wins for you, actually. So one, I've had a long-standing relationship with a hardwood floor refinishing company, and they expressed some interest in doing some additional marketing stuff. So we have had the opportunity to quote them on an SEO package, which encompassed Facebook marketing, Google Ads management, Google Business Profile management and optimization, and building out some. I know Mike likes to call them silo pages, but they're basically service area pages for different markets. I'll quickly define that for you. So if you have a client who's in a particular area and they're doing quite well in that market, but they want to now get exposure in other markets, other surrounding towns, a really easy way to help them get that exposure is to build sites for each of those towns. But here's the thing: don't just copy and paste your content from your services page onto those new pages. And don't make all those pages the same. You're going to want to craft new content for each of those pages, load it up with a lot of the key terms people are looking for. And they're just standalone pages on the site that you don't even put on the navigation bar. You don't link to them. They're just hidden on the site, but they will get search results and they will get that traffic and get the appeal of people going there. So that's going to be a fun project. And the second thing is this is actually a really good story. Okay. So I don't know if you guys get these where you live, but we have these like shopper publications that um, will show up in the mailbox. And I'm just scrolling through because I like to flip through it. I like to see which local businesses are advertising. And usually if you're advertising and you are featuring your web address in your ad, it better be good. And if it's not, it's a great reason to call them. Be like, hey, I noticed you got a website in your ad here, but looks like you haven't touched it in 3 years. Have you ever thought about upgrading it or updating it? So I come across a website for an ad for builders. There's the construction company. And I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this company around town. I'm like, let me just go to their website. So I go to their website and it's down. And this is like a fairly large builder. So I call them up and I'm like, hey, my name is Justin. I live local to you guys. And I just want to let you know your website's down. Like that's my only reason for calling. I just want to help you with something. Your website's down. You're advertising a full page ad in the local publication. You feature your website in there and it's down. And she goes to me, oh yeah, I know. We it was so outdated and so like we didn't like it. We had to take it down. Okay. So it was outdated, didn't like it, took it down. I said, okay. I said, and are you gonna get another one up soon? And she goes, I don't know. We haven't really found anyone to do it for us. So it's just kind of in a holding pattern right now. I said, look, I swear this is not the reason I called you because it wasn't. I was just literally just trying to help a fellow small business owner. And I said, this is not the reason I called you, but I can build you a new site for your business. And she's like, really? What do you mean? I'm like, well, I can actually show you something for free if you'd like. Give me a few days and we'll set an appointment and go over it. And that's exactly what we did. She went on to tell me all about the business and everything they're doing and was super appreciative of me for calling her to tell her her website's down. A lot of us think that we are bothering small business owners by pitching or telling them something about their online presence or whatever. You're not. You're not bothering them. You're helping them. If someone has the attitude you're bothering them, they're not going to be a good client for you. Okay. But a lot of these business owners who are, you know, clueless when it comes to the web, for better or for worse, they're focused on their business, right? They'll be deeply appreciative of you letting them know about something they were unaware of. If you're getting publications like this to your home, scroll through there, call up some businesses who you feel could be doing a lot better job and see what comes of it. See what comes of it. Extend your warm network. Our 14-day launch plan specifically talks about a social outreach phase, a warm outreach phase, and a cold outreach phase. Guys, your warm network should always constantly be building up and growing. With every client you take on, you're growing your warm network. And when you have a growing warm network, you have the opportunity to ask those people who they might know who needs a website. So don't slack. Always build it up. Always keep building. Okay? All right. Thank you, Mike, for that note. Okay, cool. So some of you were nice enough to ask your questions ahead of time via email, and I'm going to go to those first. Everyone else who has a question or a topic they want to discuss, please ask it now, and we're going to add it to the list and make sure we get to everything. Okay? So first up on our list, where did it go? Hold on. Oh, come on, Justin. You can do this. All right. Here we go. First up on the list, we have from Mahmood. Will it be possible to provide real code snippets for site modification? So Mahmood comes from a coding background and he wants to know about if you have real coding experience, what can or can't you do within the site? So, Mahmoud, I think you probably know this by now, but our platform is specifically for, I like Justin, I like what you're saying, and maybe we could do that. Let's make that an official note somewhere, someone. Brian, maybe you can log that note from Justin B, please. That's something we could do. Um, maybe just shoot it as a note to me and TJ. All right, so let me, no. Okay. So when you're editing your sites, you probably know this, that you have multiple different areas where you can load HTML into the site. The first one is going to be on a site-wide basis. So you can often use the header area or the body area for site-wide changes that if you know a thing or two about code, you can go in here and basically do anything. Okay. You should know what you're doing though before you start just loading stuff in here. The most common use for this screen is going to be for people who want to add tracking information like a Facebook pixel or some other code that would allow you to track stuff. But this is not necessarily for the everyday user because our platform is a code free platform. The second place where you will find the ability to add HTML is on a basically embedding it within a block on the site. So to do that, you click Add New Section. You'd find the HTML option, Add to Site, and then you can add anything you want into this box, and it'll generate whatever it is that code is meant to do. And you can even label it too, so this way you'll know what this particular block of code is for. So these are the ways you're going to add HTML. And Mahmoud, there is no way to go in and like actively modify the existing code outside of just what you might do from this screen, where you can call certain style sheets or whatever it is, override them if you know a thing or two about code, which it sounds like you do. So that's your approach you're going to take. There's no direct access to the site HTML, which is not what we're all about. One question that did stick out to me though in your question was where is it? So you said I believe there are severe limitations on what we can or cannot do on the site. The short answer to that, I guess, is yes, if especially if you don't touch code, but it's by design. Okay. Mahmoud, if you're the type of person who's done web design before, custom coding things, you know what it's like to deal with a client who's got ever changing and ever growing requests and demands. And you feel like it's your obligation to do anything and everything they ask you to do, and oftentimes not even charge for it. What ends up happening is you have this, we call it scope creep. The scope of the project creeps up and up and up and up and up with more and more requests for modifications and enhancements. And you get to the point where you're now in over your head, like you've invested more time than you really should have for this project. And you just keep eating it and eating it and eating it. And before you know it, you're running at a deficit. So we're basically enabling you to basically tell your clients, no, you can't do that. Like that's one of the most empowering things to say. If you know a thing or two about code and you're building a site for them on SiteSwan, we've heard this time and time again. No, I can't do that on your site. And they say, well, what do you mean? Well, I have you on a platform that's specifically designed for standard best practices and simple modifications. But if you're requesting, because I'll have people like, I want floating clouds going across the top of my screen. Say, all right. If you want that, I have no problem doing that for you, but it's going to require we custom build your site somewhere else. And prices for that start at $5,000. So, I mean, I got the impression you had a budget in mind, but if you'd like to switch over to that, I could totally do that for you. And watch how quickly they change their needs. Watch how quickly. Because you're selling the site for $500, $1,500 up front, right? Like we're not talking a big, heavy investment in the site. So it would be unrealistic for them to expect you to do all this custom stuff when you're talking about a very affordable website project. So just put things in perspective for them. Like, yeah, you want that? Fine. It's going to cost, and put a price tag on it if you have that capability. And if you don't, just quote them something anyway, and then find someone to do it. Be like, yeah, it'll be whatever, $6, $7, $8,000 to do, and I'm like, forget it. I don't need that. Exactly. Mahmoud also had a question about taking what exists on an old site and moving on to a new site. Just a game of copy and paste, my friend. Copy and paste, download those images, upload them. But here's the deal, okay? Make sure that site was actually performing well in local search before you start pulling content from their old site. Because one of the reasons why businesses are looking to upgrade is their website stinks at coming up in search results. By just taking what they had before is going to dumb down the website you're building for them now on our platform and make the site less likely to appear. Unless they're getting phenomenal search results, but their web provider sucks and they can't get a hold of them and they're overpaying and all this other stuff, then fine. But 9.5 times out of 10, people are switching not just because they want a new provider, but because they want a new site. They want better results, not the same as what they had before. All right, Chelsea submitted this, but I have a feeling this is also, it's a Chelsea/Justin question. So they said, I just had a demo for a client who already has a website, but it's not working right now for them with a big weird navigation button taking up the whole screen. Guys, these are some of the smaller things that you are going to see appear on sites, and you're going to say, what the heck is the matter? That's what you're going to say. Look at this. I'm scrolling on the site, and now an entire scroll to top icon is taking over my entire screen as I scroll. I don't know, bad practice, I'd say, a little bit. So, among other things, this is one of the things that stood out as an oddity on the site, something they could not resolve or take care of. Therefore, they are very willing and eager to get a new site set up thanks to Chelsea and Justin. Now, they are asking, we tried to do a demo with them, and the wife said the website wasn't modern enough. She told me she wanted to get more examples of what it's looking for and what modern means to her. So, and you're asking, what do I think about it? So, it doesn't matter what I think about it, it matters what the client thinks about it. Okay. If they are craving more modern, ask them this question: what about your existing site do you like? What did you, or, what is it that appeals to you on your existing site now? Maybe they're actually, uh, you know, 80% happy with what they have now, but they just their that stupid button is freaking them out, and something else about the business relationship with their provider right now. So one of the things I'm going to have to recommend to you, because you were nice enough to send the link. I don't know, everyone has a different definition of modern. Okay, I consider one thing modern. I see people with their homes on Zillow, they call them modern, and I want to puke. So I don't think modern is a term we can all agree on. Okay, there's going to be something that this client is looking for that they're just not telling you. So one thing is this: I know they have a weird shaped logo. Okay, I get that. But just like on their old site, it's too big. It's too big. More importantly, they've crammed so much into their logo that you can't display it at a reasonable size on any website. Okay, so here's my suggestion. Um, they're called We Clean Out, I think. Right? Is that what they're actually called? We Clean Out? First of all, get rid of this layout. I know we have it here and I know people like to use it. Stick with the layout where the logo is in the top and the navigation is to the right of it. That's always going to be your best bet with very few exceptions. I'll see people do landing pages with this kind of layout. It's fine, but do me a favor, and especially for this client, let's move it to the other layout where the navigation is in line with the logo. And then what I would like to see happen here is, and maybe you can work some magic inside of Canva or hire someone on Fiverr if you don't know how to do it. But what I would recommend doing is we take the We Clean Out part out of here. We take junk out of here, and we take this stuff and just get rid of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to nicely display We Clean Out in a similar font and style over here to the right of their faces. And then we're going to take the junk and put it right over here to the right of their faces. And a second version of their logo that's more horizontal than it is tall, because when are we ever going to use a tall logo? It just doesn't make any sense. You're going to create a slightly modified version that has the text to the right of it. This, you can't even read this. Junk Removal and Hauling Services LLC. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. So then you want to put it on your truck like that? Fine. It doesn't belong on your website like that. We're going to create a modified version. You will forever struggle to get this site to look good with a tall logo. It just doesn't make sense. All right. So that's going to be my suggestion number 2. So first suggestion, change the layout. Second suggestion, take this out, put it to the right of the faces. And then see what you had to do here. Well, you had to actually crush the size of this hero image because you had to accommodate this logo to make everything legible. It just causes so many problems. So we're going to expand the height of this hero section. And especially after you have a quick chat with them to find out what it is that they feel like they're looking for. If you can get some examples, or if they tell you they love 80% of their existing website, then do that heavy green overlay throughout the site. Make it a little more of that lime green that they're looking for. And you can definitely have a go at this. I don't think there's anything ugly about this site. You're using their color palette. You're using, I think, things that align with their brand. And I think you've done a fairly good job of not modifying a lot of things about the theme, but definitely this whole header area needs to be rethought out with those modifications. So I'd start working on that regardless. And then depending on what the client comes back to you with, I think you will not regret getting the logo redone. Wait, what? We noticed they misspelled clean out in their own name. Are you serious? On their wait, for real? We clean. Oh, because they made it one. They made it one word. I don't know. All right, let's move on. Thank you so much for submitting that, Chelsea and Justin. I appreciate that. Hopefully, that's helpful to you. Renee, we're on to Renee. Renee said asked a question that says, "I'd like some clarification about client ownership and revenue structure within the reseller model." So she's like, if we onboard clients who are billed on a recurring basis through the platform, can you explain how ownership is defined and protected? Specifically, do those clients remain exclusively tied to the reseller who acquired them? 100%, Renee. You are using a software to build and manage websites for small businesses. They don't know we exist unless you tell them we exist. It's your relationship with your client. You don't have to use our client billing system that's built into the platform. Does it make things easy? Yeah. It doesn't reveal the SiteSwan brand at all. This is purely a relationship you have with your client under your own brand name. If ever there came a time where you had one or more paying clients, but something happened and you had to cancel with us, you reach out to us. And I can guarantee you, every single person on this call right now would have their hand up if we said, hey, can anyone take on one of Renee's clients who is struggling or having a hard time or needs to step away? Every single one, you'd be like, yeah, I will. I'll take over a client. That is the only circumstance under which we would ever have a situation where we'd introduce one of your clients to someone else and be under with your discretion only. Hopefully that clears it up. Renee also added regarding the 40 client threshold, could you clarify what changes at that point? So I'd be happy to. So what happens is once you get past 40 sites and you need more sites, you'll be prompted and you have the ability to upgrade to the next plan. So if you want to go to the pricing page of our website, it basically goes from the whatever many sites you have now up to 100 sites. Okay. And with that, your price per site drops. So it's a large step up in number of sites, but the price per site drops. So if you're at the point where you have that many clients, you need to expand, you'll upgrade, you'll get a ton more sites, and it'll be a long time before you need to expand again, unless you're super aggressive, like a couple of people on this call, and go beyond that threshold as well. Let me make sure I didn't miss any back and forths regarding what we just spoke about. No, I didn't. All right. Here we go. Next up is Kevin. Kevin says, I'm working on an online store add-on for a client who's selling apparel. Okay. The client wants the ability to see the front and back of items when you click on to expand instead of showing the other items. I'll attach a link. This is where it gets fun. And by fun, I mean a big pain in the butt. All right. So let's all display this site for everybody. I applaud you for being willing to take on a project like this, but for everyone else, if it's one of your first dozen or so clients and they want to sell stuff online, say, I'm sorry, I'm not set up for that right at this moment. I'm not going to be able to help you with that. You can, but the truth is that you want to get the recurring revenue in the door on the easy clients, informational, lead generating websites, and only take on these types of clients later when you have gotten really comfortable with the platform and running this business and are committed to your own success. Then maybe. But even so, I only recommend taking on e-commerce clients who have a dozen or fewer items to sell, and it's not their core purpose of existence. So what that means is, like, a great example is like a gym that wants to sell t-shirts, or a restaurant that wants to sell their sauce or something like that. Those are the situations where our e-commerce platform makes sense. But as I was saying, the okay, so let's see. I see some items right here. And if I go shop the collection, so this is it. So here's what I would do. What Kevin's asking is, hey, I want someone when they select the image to see the different sides of the shirt or whatever. The only way that I can see this being done is the following. You have individual pages for each item that you're selling online. On that page, you have a slideshow or gallery of images that will show all different angles of this particular item. And then from there is where you put the add to cart button. So these buttons turn into view details or what, something like that. And then each item has its own page. And then on that page is put as many photos as you want of this item with a buy now or add to cart button from there. That's how I would handle that. But congratulations on getting this client. I hope it all works out. Eddie. All right, this is going to be the last question of people who've submitted questions ahead of time. So then we'll go to all the questions that you guys want answered right now. Mahmoud, thank you for asking your question. I really appreciate it. All right. Eddie says, this is a long one. Stick with me. I'm going to try and summarize a little bit, but Eddie says, I just signed up this week. We appreciate you, Eddie. Welcome you aboard. I got my agency website all set up. I've created a handyman website for my handyman. I'm leaning toward tradespeople, your plumbers, electricians, general contractors, handymen, target audience. I love it. It's a great industry to go after. He says, I know them well and recognize that securing even one extra client can lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars for them because I've been their customer for years now. It's very true. A single job for a contractor, handyman, plumber, electrician could make them the amount that they've spent on their website up front in one day. Those tend to be high ticket services. He says, I anticipate other opportunities may arise out of the trade niches that I desire. For example, and this is especially true, guys, in the warm outreach phase of your expansion, because when you are doing warm outreach, you're going to be asking for people who might know someone who needs a website, and you want to make sure, and you're not going to have a choice of which industries to go after. They're just going to present themselves to you as candidates, right? So, for instance, my wife's hairdresser could use a redesign. I was planning to redesign it for her for free. But is it still worth pursuing niches that may not have a high customer value? I want to avoid niches that require excessive customization and feature requests. But more importantly, I want businesses with one extra customer can lead to a high return or recurring revenue. I feel like it's an easier value proposition to express with businesses like that. What are your thoughts and experiences? My thoughts and experiences are this, Eddie. Every business needs a website, period. Every business needs a website, and you're not selling $10,000 websites, right? You're pricing your websites likely between $500 up front and $1,500 up front, about $100 a month, give or take. That is a fair amount any business owner can easily justify. So even though a hairdresser is not making $500, $800, $1,200 a pop per day on one person, they are seeing the volume. I mean, ladies especially, right? You're getting your hair done. It's not $30 like us guys, right? It's a little bit more expensive, especially if you're going to consider any coloring, the blowout, whatever else, right? So they have more clients and they're not, all that cheap, but they have a lot more volume. And that's one thing that the website's going to help them do is secure more volume of clients. It's a different industry, but it doesn't change the need for a website. Every single business needs one. All right. So those are the questions you guys submitted ahead of time, and I deeply appreciate you doing that. I was able to spend a little bit of time analyzing this beforehand. So now let's see what questions you guys have that you've submitted now, and I want to see if we can go through them together. All right. So Rachel says, I just started SiteSwan last weekend. Welcome, Rachel. I'm focusing purely on speech language pathologists nationwide. My sister is a speech language pathologist. I feel like they're a gold mine full of bad sites. I agree with you. I want to know what you feel about niching down to this level. So, Rachel, the one thing I would say first, I love it. I love it. You have an affiliation with one. By the way, does she have a website? Have you taken care of her yet? Or does she work for someone else? Even if she does work for someone else, maybe you should build her a site anyway and show her what it would look like if she went out on her own. So the pathologists, I would agree, they do suffer. It's a nationwide epidemic. So on one hand, it's fantastic. You have a personal connection to the industry. You can really niche down and speak directly to what these folks need. On the other hand, when you consider the means by which you can get clients, which is going to be social outreach, warm outreach, especially, you won't really be able to call the shots on the types of businesses you take on. And I would hate to see you forego those phases because there is so much you can get out of it. Like, who here, can we just back up my statement here? Who here has gone through the 14-day launch plan and won and gotten one or more clients from social outreach and warm outreach? If you could just tell me, just write yes in the questions tab if you were able to get one or more clients in the social or warm outreach phases of the 14-day launch plan. And what's really cool about this, and if you want, you can step into a one-on-one coaching session, which you can do right from the SiteSwan dashboard. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go right down here, why is it not here? Oh, did I turn it? No, there it is. You can click this button at any point and you can get set up and talk one-on-one with your coach and get walked through the entire 14-day launch plan through those phases that I just mentioned and be able to find all the success. So I see a lot of people writing yes. So thank you guys for backing me up. But this is a recurring theme. Those two methods are very effective at being able to build up the recurring income so you can start paying your bills. The second thing I'll say about that is that despite the fact that you deem it a good opportunity, there is a chance, there is a possibility that there is some other reason why this industry does not have, that everyone doesn't have a fantastic website. Maybe there's something about it. Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe. And the only way you'll know if you're more effective at focusing on one niche versus multiple is if you give multiple a try. So my suggestion would be to go through the 14-day launch plan, through the cold outreach, make speech pathologists one of your 3 industries that you are going to focus on, and then pick 2 other industries as well. Give them all equal love and attention. And I want you to see the difference between how you find success talking to those people versus the other 2 industries. Okay? For those of you who don't know it, haven't seen it, resources section of your dashboard. Very first thing when you get here, yes, it's that important. 14-day launch plan right here. All right, next question. Great question, by the way. Thank you, Rachel. All right, Rachel had a question about reputation management. She says, I'm on the fence about offering this because I'm concerned about hiding negative reviews. So we don't hide negative reviews. That's not something we do. It's not something you can do. Um, Hiding negative reviews is not something any of the platforms want you to do or allow you to do. So just the way the reputation management system works is that is what's called a smart or intelligent review form. And what it'll do is allow the business to collect reviews very simply and easily. And the first step is to rate it with a star rating. And then if it's a 4 or a 5, we're going to immediately push that user to post publicly on Google and Facebook. But if it's a 1, 2, or 3 star review, we first ask them what we can do to help them become a 4 or 5 star reviewer. And you might say at first, well, that sounds a little bit like what Rachel said, but it's not, because they can easily skip over that and still post their review. But ultimately, that's what these people want. They want their issue resolved. They have an unresolved issue. So they feel like the only way to get past this is to post about the company negatively. But if we can show the person that we care about what it is that transpired, that will ultimately make them feel better. It'll make the business do the right thing, force them to do the right thing, and also create an environment of positivity instead of negativity. Everybody wins if we can turn a 3 star reviewer into a 5 star reviewer. Everybody involved wins. Jason said, can you explain a little further about the service area pages and what we tell a client about why they don't show up in the navigation? Absolutely. Let me pull up a website for you and I'll give you a quick example of what this looks like. Um, All right. So I just want to make sure we did not put this anywhere on the site. Tom, I'm looking at the tent site. I'm pretty sure we didn't put it anywhere, right? No. Oh, yes, we did. We did. Okay. So this is an example of a website that is a tent rental company. And what we've done is created some standalone pages for different areas. So this is what a particular landing page looks like for the town of Northport. Okay. Now we have a paragraph loaded with key terms about the business and how they service Northport, a why choose us section loaded again with Northport throughout the entire page. We're just saying it over and over and over again throughout this entire area. See this right here? What are people in Northport typing in search? Tent rentals in Northport. That's exactly what they're typing in. That's what we are telling the search engines exists on this site. Frequently asked questions, we're embedding Northport throughout here. Okay. Now, if we go to a different page, let's go to this one, town called Kings Park. Okay. This page is set up to look similar, but it's worded differently. We didn't just copy and paste and swap out the terminology. This is different content, and that is important. Even the call to action is different. This is all you have to do. Okay. A page that consists of, between 5 and 7 posts, give or take. And you can duplicate the homepage if you want to discuss all the things that the business does, but relate it to the town you're serving. So in this particular example, we went ahead and we did link it in the very bottom of the site, just so it has some connection to the rest of the website, but it's not something that you have to do. So that's the way that would work. I would say copying the homepage, duplicating the homepage is probably the easiest way to achieve really good results, but just make sure you customize the content per page. Do not copy and paste, swap out the town name. That will not benefit anybody. What else do we have? I'll just put this out there. Someone asked, thanks, Mike. When I delete a page from my site, it automatically deletes it from the sitemap, correct? Yes, that is correct. And if some of you are asking, what the heck is a sitemap? I'm just going to expose you to something real quick. So a sitemap is what tells the search engines all of the pages that appear on the site that are worthy of being indexed. And what we do is automatically for every single site on the platform, if you go slash sitemap.xml, it's going to produce your sitemap. There's a live document that stays up to date with all the active exposed pages on the site. So this is one of the things that the search engines look for to be able to determine all the pages on your site and what each page is. And if you delete a page from your site, it will magically disappear from this list. Here's a good question I'll put for everyone to hear. Someone's asking, is there a way to add fonts to the SiteSwan dashboard? Some fonts, I feel like I struggle to find an appropriate one to use for the type of client I'm working with. Yeah, you absolutely can. Um, you can submit a ticket through support.siteswan.com. So come over here, click on support, go to our help center, and then just simply submit a request. Tell us the font you want to use. Now, we do limit our fonts to Google fonts. So if you go to fonts.google.com and you find something that you need, just please don't recommend something like this because we're not going to add it. Okay. But you might find one you're like, man, I really wish we had this particular font. Then make a request. We say yes to a lot of them. The ones we tend to say no to are super, super, super highly specialized where it causes conflicts in the platform, and ones that look so similar to something else that we already offer. Because we don't like to just, bloat the system if we don't need to. So Joe is saying in relation to what we were just talking about, these different town pages, my client has expressed the issue with the number of times their town is mentioned on the site and would prefer to include a wider area, not quite so focused on their specific town. Is this something that can be done automatically, or do we have to go and find towns close by and make manual changes? So best practice is you focus on one thing. The search engines are not good at understanding that they should be displaying your business in a bunch of different markets unless you have a concentrated, very specific way of telling them that. So bloating your homepage with all these different town names is not going to do the trick. I'll tell you what else. When it comes to local businesses, the search engines are very mindful of where your physical business location is. So they are not frequently going to showcase your business in any sort of results if you're a certain distance, if the person searching is a certain distance away from the business's physical location. Most consumers want to work with businesses nearby them, and most businesses are best served by working with clients close to them. Faster response times, easier to get a hold of them. That's the best thing for everybody. So there is no way to effectively, make a site speak to a bunch of different towns without doing the strategy I just went over, which is, I'm not going to say tricks the search engines, but it certainly tells them you're devoted to those areas, but separately from your priority. Okay, so Justin's saying, are SiteSwan sites made to be found by any of the AI LLMs, ChatGPT, etc.? And the answer is 100% yes. So what lots of people don't often realize when we talk about like AEO and stuff like that is that those models are referencing the exact same thing that humans see when they're conducting a search in a search engine. They're using all the same rules. All the same rules apply to coming up in AI search as what comes up in traditional search. So keep doing what works for traditional SEO, Those are the same exact things that work for artificial intelligence SEO. I'll take 2 more questions. Ali says, if you accidentally delete a page, can it be recovered? I'm sorry, Ali, it cannot. Once it's deleted, it is in fact deleted. Regret to tell you that, but that is the case. I see that question about the testimonials post Brian was able to get to. Any final questions before we wrap up? Any final questions? You guys have been very active in this session today. While you're thinking of your last question, I'd like you to quickly just share one thing that stood out to you from our chat today. It could be a question you heard someone else ask, something that you saw on the screen, something that you heard, something that you thought after hearing something, anything that you would label a takeaway from today's conversation. Just please post that as a question. We are eager to focus on the things you guys want and need to hear about so that you'll be more successful. Al, you can definitely submit that as a feature request. That'd be great. Yeah, Linton, the page can be hidden instead of deleted. It's a great point. You don't need to delete pages if you don't want them on the site anymore. Just hide it. And you can hide the page from search results also. So remove it from the navigation and make it invisible to search. Just a click, and you can do that. Adam says, I want to thank you all for the questions. They opened a ton of doors. Oh, well, thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Justin appreciates learning what silo pages are and how they can be added to the marketing website. They certainly can. Justin appreciates the suggestion about the logo and header redesign. We'll definitely make those changes, present them to the client. Excellent. And I see one other question I'm going to attempt to answer before we wrap up. Chelsea appreciates that when people ask for extra additions that can't be done SiteSwan, giving them a quote that's much higher to do it on another platform is a good idea. Works every time. Lewis appreciates my patience, something that we all need while building this business. Yes, that's true. Patience is a virtue. Okay. All right. Let me answer this last question here. It came from EC. I'm not sure who that is. What's the best way to save elements that we've created in one website to use in another site? I don't believe you can copy from one site and paste to another. You're right about that. You are correct about that. So thankfully, when you are editing anything on any site, if you click edit, we tell you what type of post this is. Okay. So you would obviously recreate it by choosing the same post type. What does that mean? When you're adding a new section, find the hero image option, add it. The second thing is for images, and this might be something that gets overlooked from time to time, so I'll point this out right now. For images, if I go to replace image, it's going to open up my image gallery. And then from my image gallery, I can locate the image that's being used on this site by looking for an orange highlight on the image. When I do this, I can click this zoom button and then download the original high resolution version of this image. So if I'm looking to recreate this post on a different site, I'm going to download this image from here and then re-upload it to the new site that I'm working on. That's kind of, I'm not going to say overlooked, but maybe a step that you guys didn't think about. And that's the way you can do it. From the library, click the magnifying glass, download the image, and then re-upload it to the new site. And then it's just a matter of copying and pasting. You're adjusting a couple things. You can take a look at the overlay color and its opacity. So that's how dark, in this case, this image appears because we're overlaying a dark color on it. But if I overlaid a different color, like one of their brand colors, for example, it would look like that. Okay. Just take a note of things like that. You have a couple of other controls like the layout. The row height is probably one of the bigger things that affect how these tend to look. And then your content, just copy and paste. And if you copy and paste from one window to the next, it will preserve the same styles and sizes and colors and all that fun stuff. Modify your button, and you're good to go. Um, the posts are generally just consisting of images, text, a couple of layout adjustments, and that's it. We're not custom coding anything, so it's fairly easy to recreate stuff. Okay. All right. With that, I am going to end it here. Guys, at the end of April, it's crazy to think that. This is, like I started saying in this conversation today, it's a great time to be selling websites to small businesses. This is a season of growth and opportunity, and I want you to take that to the bank. I want you to make sure that you're doing just as much outreach now as ever before. And let's close some deals. The next time we're doing one of these is going to be in exactly, I want to say 2 weeks. We're doing it 2 weeks from tomorrow, so May 15th, if you want to mark your calendar for that. And then next week, we're going to be doing a session like this, but exclusively on the 14-day launch plan. We'll talk about specifically about what to do to get your first or your next client. And we'll go through the 14-day launch plan from start to finish. So if you want to be around for that, same time on May 8th, Friday, and we'll have some fun with that. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. It means a lot to me. You're part of the SiteSwan family. If there's anything we can do for you, go to support, submit your question. We're happy to help. And hopefully we'll talk to you all next week. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in May. Bye for now.